Hello, friends. Welcome to Heidi's Colorful Colorado. I'm your host, Heidi, a wife, mom of four, CU Regent, and the founder of Camp Bow Wow and the She Factor. With a passion for keeping the spirit of our state alive and well, I started this podcast to bring the people of Colorado together to celebrate the amazing state we call home. Come along on this journey with me as I travel across our old country roads in my vintage RV, interviewing folks that embody the true spirit of the Rocky Mountains. From the Front Range to the mile-high city to the wild west of southern Colorado, we'll celebrate the history, beauty, and Coloradans that make this place the colorful state it is. Each week, you'll meet people trailblazing the way for an even more colorful future for us all, making a huge difference along the way. Are you ready for a Rocky Mountain ride? Let's do this, Colorado. Welcome to Heidi's Colorful Colorado. So happy to have you with us today, and I'm very excited to welcome Jack Bonneau. He is a fantastic young entrepreneur that most of us in the Denver community know your story, Jack, but I'm excited to tell the rest of Colorado that doesn't all about what you've been up to and how you got started. So welcome.
Well, thank you, Heidi. I'm very excited to be here.
So Jack, tell us how things got started with Jack's Stand and Marketplace a long time ago now. It was when you were a little youngster.
Yes. Well, my whole journey with Jack Stands and Marketplaces started when I was 8 years old. It all started because I wanted the Lego Star Wars Death Star, and that cost $400. So I asked my dad if I could get it, and he said I could, but I was going to have to pay for it with my own money. And being an 8-year-old, I wasn't quite sure on how to actually get $400. So I asked my dad what I should do, and he suggested that I should start my own business to make some money. And I had seen a couple of local lemonade stands around my neighborhood, and I thought, hey, what if I did that, but I could put it at maybe my local farmer's market? And that summer, I actually made $2,000 in revenue and $900 in profit. And I got my Lego Death Star. So that was a crazy experience, very nice. And I had such a great experience learning about entrepreneurship, business, financial literacy, that I wanted to share that with other kids. And that's what led to me creating jackstands.com and expanding to 4 other farmers market locations. And at jackstands.com, kids and their families could sign up to operate a stand. We would provide everything like the stands, lemonade, iced tea, all of that. And I would teach the kids how to greet and serve the customer, how to make change, take credit cards, and how to track their sales. And at the end of the day, we'd go through a mini profit and loss statement to figure out their revenue, expenses, profit, and tips. So it was a really cool experience, and that was my favorite part of Jack Stands, was being able to interact with the kids. And about 2 to 3 years into it, I was getting a lot of foot traffic at my stands, and I wanted to reach out to other young entrepreneurs to sell their products at my marketplaces. And most of them said yes. And I did that through the great bank, Young Americans Bank in Denver, very supportive. And I was able to find a bunch of young entrepreneurs and tell their inspirational stories and sell their products at my stands. And continued the effort of teaching other kids how to operate my stands there. When I was about 10 years old, I ended up getting on Shark Tank for this effort, and that was really a great experience. So that's really where it all started with Jack Stands and Marketplaces.
That's fantastic, and I actually met you at the Young Americans event many years ago.
Yes.
And I was mentoring another young entrepreneur, but I was fascinated. One of the things I love is branding and building beautiful brands, and I think you did a fantastic job with your brand. So tell me a little bit about how you created your logo and the marketing feel of your company.
Sure. It's very funny you asked that, because so originally we had gotten our lemonade stand from, well, my dad had actually found a lemonade stand for Mike's Hard Lemonade at a liquor store. So that was the original model of the lemonade stand.
Oh, that's funny.
And we carried that through until the first time my story was shared outside of my hometown was with the New York Times. And from that actually led to me getting on to the Today Show. So I brought my stand out to Rockefeller Center, and what ended up happening was after that, Mike's Hard Lemonade, they saw their logo, except the Mike's Hard was taken out and the Jack's Lemonade was put in, and they were like, hey, this looks a little familiar. But they were super good sports about it, and they actually helped us and put us up with a logo designer, and that's how we got our logo that we have today.
What a cool story! I'm gonna go grab some Mike's Hard Lemonade after this to thank them.
Yeah, right.
When we grew Camp Bow Wow, Daisha, who helps me produce this show, we were actually asked to do a doggy daycare, like a Camp Bow Wow setup in downtown Manhattan for Fox and Friends.
Oh, wow.
So it was one of the biggest challenges I think we ever had with the business, Desh, but we actually went to Home Depot in Manhattan and bought the fencing material and built it out. And one of the little dogs was smart enough to wiggle out of the corner in downtown Manhattan. And all of us are racing down the street like, come back, guys. And we got him. It was fun. It was a happy story. But we brought him back just in time to go live on air. And we had 10 dogs. And we told the franchisees in the local market, bring little ones, easy to handle ones. And I think they brought a husky, a lab, a Saint Bernard. It was nuts, but it worked out. That was super fun. So I'm glad you told that story. It brought back some good memories for me. Jack, I think one of the biggest challenges for young entrepreneurs is understanding the money side of the business. And wow, if I had been taught how to create a P&L or profit and loss statement when I was 8 years old, I think my whole life would have changed. So do kids pick up on that pretty easily when you teach them the numbers and how profit and loss works?
Definitely. When the kid came into my stand for the first time, they were really, really timid, shy, didn't have any experience in this. But at the end, they were really confident. They had learned a bunch of stuff, and yeah, they did pick up on it because it wasn't too complicated. But it gave them a sense of how a basic business work. You bought the supplies, those were your expenses. You have to take that away from your total sales, and you also get tips to add to your profit. And I really enjoyed that part because I was able to, I think, affect so many kids and give them that knowledge that I know has benefited me. So.
One of the things I love about our country was it was founded on the idea of free markets and free enterprise and, having a sense of purpose and going out and building something big. How do you talk about that part of our history and our kind of the fabric of our country now that you are an entrepreneur and you've had success and you obviously like building companies? So.
Sure. And I to be honest, for the first, few years of my business and probably for most of Jack's stands, I really didn't think about that. I was just kind of focused, I was younger. I'm just focused on, I have a cool business. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm reaching out to other kids. But I've definitely come to notice that more with TeenHustl, and it's actually funny, kind of a little tie-in. The reason I started TeenHustl, I wanted to appeal to a more teenage-focused audience than the 7 to 12-year-old I've been working with Jack Stands. And in doing my research, I realized that decades ago, actually my dad is part of this, there were millions of teenagers who had their own business through the form of paper routes.
Oh, yes.
Paper
absolutely.
routes. And I know that today those opportunities don't exist. So that's part of the reason I started TeenHustl, was to bring back those youth opportunities that kids had decades ago. And that just ties into, like what you were saying with our history of being able to start your own business and understand that. And I really enjoy sharing that with others at such a young age because I know how much it will benefit them.
Yeah, me too. In fact, that's when I started Camp Bow Wow. That's why I started franchising, because I loved so much seeing other people start their own businesses and flourish, and sharing my vision for how to do this. And we all kind of learned together along the way. And I don't know if that happens with you, with Jack's Stand or with TeenHustl. But tell us a little bit about TeenHustl. It's very exciting. I read about it. I love the idea. How's it going? And tell us why you started it.
Sure, it's going really great. I started it, as I said, to bring back those opportunities that teenagers had decades ago, but I wanted to update it for today's gig economy, and that's what TeenHustl does. And we've made several pivots from being a food delivery service like DoorDash and Grubhub to what we're currently at, which is a personal package delivery service. And basically, we deliver packages from Amazon lockers and UPS and FedEx access points, all on bikes and electric scooters, so no carbon footprint, which is also nice. And we deliver it to the customer when they're home. And that's something that other services don't offer the customers, because one of the biggest problems with package delivery is package theft. There are many packages that are stolen every day, and TeenHustl is really, from what we see, one of the only solutions currently around for that. So we're really excited to be able to solve that problem.
Oh, that is fantastic. What a great idea. Tell me a little bit about how you've raised money to start this business. Are you taking on investors? Are you doing it on your own?
So, great question. Right now, we are still in the process of raising money. What we've been trying to do, our efforts have been currently developing one location in my area that is a model location so that we can work to replicate that and use the funds that we would get to actually replicate that in other locations. And that's what we're trying to do in Police District 1 in Denver. That's our other location. And it's actually very interesting. With Police District 1, they are like one of the only police departments in like the United States that actually tracks package theft separately than regular theft. So what we're trying to do is kind of develop a case study for that location. So right now we're just working on developing that model.
That's fantastic, which leads me back to having investors. You were on Shark Tank. That's so exciting. Tell us about that.
Shark Tank was such a great experience, and so many people ask, "Oh my gosh, were you nervous? How was it?" and I always say I was a little bit nervous. Of course, who wouldn't be? But I was just mostly excited. I was 10 years old when I got on, and I was the youngest male to successfully pitch and receive a deal on Shark Tank, and it was such a great experience. All the sharks were really supportive, and I just loved being able to share my story with so many people and get the valuable feedback with the sharks. And I did end up getting a deal from Chris Saka, $50,000 as a loan with 2% interest. And that was just such a great experience, just learning experience in general for me.
That's fantastic. Wow. Yeah, you're going to be able to tell your grandkids about that story.
Yes, I definitely will.
So you work with your dad pretty closely, and I built my business partly with my brother, but then a lot of other family members, and then most recently my oldest daughter and I started a company called She Factor, which is for young women just launching their lives. It's a digital and live platform, chapters, really encouraging for women in their 20s. But it's hard to work with a family member, or do you think it is? How's that gone?
You know, my dad has been such a supportive force behind me throughout all of this, you know, and definitely there's times when we get into squabbles, but he's been very supportive. Whenever whenever someone asks what my dad does, he always says I carry his bags. It's really funny, but no, he's always been very supportive throughout this entire journey, and has been really pushing me to continue with this, and just been helping me along the way.
Well, I think one thing about working with family is that you can, trust them. You can trust them. It's hard to find people to surround yourself with that you can trust, that you care about. They care about your business as much as you do. And I can tell your dad does big time. He's been such an inspiration for all of us to see how he works with you and helps you and encourages you. So kudos to Dad too. Yeah. Steve, sorry.
Yes, for sure.
So Jack, tell us a little bit about what's next. How much money are you trying to raise right now with TeenHustl, if there's any investors out there that are interested?
Sure. So right now we're hoping to raise $200,000 just generally to continue building out this model and replicating in other locations.
How can people learn more about TeenHustl or Jack's stand and marketplace if they want to know more or get involved?
Sure. So you can go to TeenHustl without the .com and send me an email, or if you're interested for a TeenHustl location near you, apply to be a Teen Hustler. Yeah.
Jack, one of my favorite projects that I've done over the past few years is launched a charity called the Fight Back Foundation, and we help entrepreneurs that are working on kids issues like around bullying, sexual assault, teen suicide. And I did a TEDx talk about it called The Art of the Comeback is to Give Back. And I think it's so important for us entrepreneurs to give our talents and treasures around solving problems back to society. So tell us a little bit about what you're up to with Jack's Lemonade Stand, because it's very relevant to that.
Yes, for sure. So as I continue with my work on TeenHustl, I've transitioned Jack Stands into a nonprofit so that it can work with other nonprofits who also support youth entrepreneurship.
That's fantastic. What if somebody wants to learn more about that side of your business? How do they do that?
They can go to jackstands.com or send me an email through there.
Okay, great. And you're on Twitter too.
Yes, Twitter @JackBonneau.
That's fantastic. Well, I want to end up talking to you a little bit about Colorado. When people talk to you about Colorado, when you're traveling around the country or the world, what do you tell them about our state? What's the spirit of Colorado to you?
You know, for me specifically, the spirit of Colorado for me has been it's always been so entrepreneurial for me, and entrepreneurial in the sense, obviously business, but everyone is so creative and free with what they do. It's very nice with that sense of community. But for me, it's been very entrepreneurial, and like one of the efforts I like to point out is the give first attitude, and that is I've worked with many people like David Cohen was the founder of Techstars, a startup accelerator, and he has this mentality of give first, help others without asking for something in return, and that actually affected me in a really positive way because I actually reached out to David before any of Shark Tank or any of that had happened and pitched my business to him, and I got involved with Techstars, and that was super fun. And that just attitude is really what's the spirit of Colorado for me.
Boy, Techstars sure is a force in our state, and they've done so much good in our community. I think it's one of the greatest organizations that's come out of Colorado.
Definitely.
So kudos to all those guys that started it. What's the most Colorado thing you've ever done in your entire life?
Definitely, I have ran the Boulder 5 times.
That's great.
And I do not plan to stop. I even did it this year, definitely different with COVID, but I'm going to continue running the Boulder. So
Steve Bosley, the founder of the Boulder, is a dear friend of mine. He was a regent at CU with me and is one of my mentors, and his son Cliff runs the Boulder. So next time, let's hang out in the VIP suite, get Steve to give us some good views of after we run into the stadium, right? I'm super excited to do that again. What a great race that is.
Oh, definitely.
So, Jack, thank you so much for spending some time with us and making the drive down. Tell Northern Denver hi for me. I miss it. And
of course.
Just so grateful to have you in the community doing wonderful things and inspiring young people and old people like me. Entrepreneurship is such a fun journey, and I'm so glad that you found it and that you can inspire others to do the same.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you for joining us today on Heidi's Colorful Colorado. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. And definitely follow me on Instagram to keep up with my latest adventures. In the meantime, happy trails from me, Heidi Ganahl.